You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now, let's send it out to your host, Matt Hatfield.
Thank you, Thomas, and welcome to the program. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1 as we greet you live from the Palatius Boo Williams Sportsplex in Hampton for the fourth and final leg of the Nike EYBL. That's the Elite Youth Basketball League, the Nike EYBL. They have the Peach Jam in the summer. This is one of the premier tournaments in the country for AAU basketball, and we're here all morning long until about noon. When we sign off, we've got special guests all morning long. The phone line is open at 757-687-9494. Hit us up at 757-687-9494. My usual co-host, the coach, Ed Young, dealing with a personal matter, not here today, so we wish him all the best and hope to have him back in June as it's Memorial Day weekend. A lot of basketball action, cookouts, and we have a special guest to begin the program. He was a former NBA point guard and a standout at Duke. You heard about him when he was playing for Mike Krzyzewski, ACC Rookie of the Year in 2001, and now he's coaching with New York Rens, helping out. We say good morning to Chris Duhon. Chris, thanks for stopping by. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. And tell us about what got you into AAU basketball.
My roommate my senior year, Andy Borman, who's the director of the New York Rens, we keep in touch, and this summer, he just asked, what I was doing, if I was interested in, helping him out this summer. And, I enjoy the game, enjoy being around it, and just gave me another opportunity to have a positive impact on the game.
You obviously had a really decorated career at Duke playing for Mike Krzyzewski. Everybody wonders what's he like behind the scenes in practice. Give us sort of some background on him and any good stories you have.
He's intense. He's very intense. He's very attention to detail. He's a guy that, for someone who's accomplished so much in his career, he's still hungry. He still feels like he has something to prove each and every year. And, that's kind of what you learn from him, throughout your time there, is that you never be satisfied, to continue to strive to be better and better. And he's one of the best motivators, that I've been around. And he does a great job motivating people to get out there and challenging them to be the best that they can be.
And you look at basketball today from when you played, which was not long ago. Your last season was 2013 with the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Played with the Bulls and the Knicks and the Magic. As you look at these EYBL tournaments, and you played in AAU tournaments growing up, I'm sure, and you see all these guys that are going to be future pros. You see 15, 20, 25 guys that will end up in the league. Do you ever sit back in amazement, or did you know growing up in a lot of these tournaments you were seeing some of these future pros?
Yeah, I was fortunate to be able to play in, some of these AAU tournaments with the high caliber players from, all over. And, you could kind of tell right away which guys kind of, have that extra thing. You're going to see a lot of good players around here, but you can also, kind of etch out the ones that are, that you could deem as special. And, it's just fun to give an opportunity to compete against those guys. Then you get a chance to know them. And then that's why the NBA is one of the best brotherhoods, because a lot of those guys have been playing against each other since they were, 15, 16, 17. So, that's why, the brotherhood is so tight. And to be able to start that relationship now is what makes the basketball great.
Very good career you had, ACC Rookie of the Year, third-team All-American in 2004 when you were at Duke there, and then you go on to the NBA, second-round draft pick by the Bulls, played for the Knicks and the Magic as well as the Lakers. You always hear about it, though, that point guards are an extension of the coach on the floor. Did you know at any point in your playing career, be it high school, college, or at the pro ranks, maybe towards the end, that you might get into coaching? Because you have gotten into coaching.
Yeah. Probably, I had an amazing high school coach that kind of taught me the real basics of the game. Coach K kind of took it to another level. I was very fortunate to have Scott Skiles when I was in Chicago, point guard as well. So after playing with him, he really kind of gave me that itch that this is something I would want to be a part of, later on in my career. And then being with Mac D'Antoni, Stan Van Gundy, who I think is an amazing coach as well, and then it just kind of like, all right, this is something I want to do afterwards. So was fortunate to do it for a few years. now I'm trying to get back into it and have an opportunity to do it again.
Yeah, Stanton kind of got a short end of the stick with Miami and the Pistons a little bit. He's better coach than people realize, I think.
Yeah, and it's tough. When you go to situations, especially nowadays, location is key. And if you don't have that quality star already there, now it's tough to be able to build a franchise. So, but as far as X's and O's and defense and motivation, and I think Stan Van Gundy is one of the top coaches in the NBA.
We're chatting with Chris Duhon, former Duke point guard and NBA player, here at the Nike EYBL on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. He's now coaching with the New York Rens travel program, and they'll be in action court one at 11 o'clock right here in front of us. They're taking on New York Lightning, and that's before a lot of the hometown people come out and check the local favorite, Boo Williams, against the Truth at 12:30. So give them a watch here as New York Rens take on New York Lightning here at the Boo Williams Sportsplex. It's ESPN Radio 94.1. We'll get to one of your standout players in a minute, who's got maybe some Chris Duhon-type traits. We'll see. We'll chat about what the similarities and differences are in a second. But what's the biggest thing you learned, adjustments from the high school to college game that you got to Duke, and then from the college to the pro game, that helps you be successful?
It's just the speed of the game. The speed changes, and when you mention that, people think that it's just faster. It's more mentally. Everyone thinks the game quicker. That half a dribble or extra second that you take to make a pass, it gets stolen in the next level, and then the next level above that, it's not even open. So adjusting to the speed, adjusting to that, each level that you go up, the talent overall is better. So you're not going to go against many teams to where a guy that's on the floor can't really play. So you got to adjust to that, and you got to continue to get better. But I think the biggest thing was the speed of the game mentally, and then obviously the wear and tear on your body, because the more you're playing more and more games as you go up.
And you win a national championship, I believe your freshman year at Duke. You guys beat Arizona. You get to a Final Four. So and that was a time when Duke, a lot of great players, you were part of those groups with Shane Battier and Jay Williams and Mike Dunleavy, and certainly a part of that success. NBA-wise, what was your favorite memory or anything stick out about it?
I don't know if I have a favorite memory. I enjoyed my career. I enjoyed my teammates. I was fortunate to have a lot of great teammates everywhere that I went. I didn't have any bad issues anywhere, all the places that I've been. A lot of great stories, a lot of great memories. Nothing really stick out as one of the best.
Do you have a favorite teammate?
Man, a few. Chicago, obviously I knew Lou Wall in college, so, he and I were already close. Kirk Heinrich became one of my good friends. I used to watch him, while he played at Kansas, so I always admired, what he did on the court, and then finally getting a chance to know him. It was a great opportunity for me. Quentin Richardson became one. Al Harrington became one of my good friends. Nate Robinson, Carlos Boozer. So everywhere I went, I kind of, Antoine Jameson, obviously, who's a Tar Heel. So you're not used to Dukies and Tar Heels.
Wow.
And it was, but when we're in L.A., we built a great relationship there. So, everywhere I went, Jameer Nelson, Dwight Howard, those guys, I've been fortunate to be around great guys everywhere that I've gone.
Was Duke what you thought it would be? Was the NBA what you thought it would be? Which surprised you more of the two?
You know what? The NBA kind of surprised me a little bit more.
What way?
For me, and, why I love Scott, when I got drafted, we were a very young team. I was a rookie. We drafted 5 rookies: Andre Snowsionis, Luol Deng, Ben Gordon. Guys that played the bulk of the minutes. Kirk Heinrich was in his second year. We had Eddie and Tyson, who were in their 4th year, so came out of high school, so I'm older than them when we get there. So, Coach Skiles kind of ran us like a college team. So we didn't, we didn't know anything really. And it was just like, hey, run into that wall. We were going to run into that wall. And kind of when, we got a little bit more veteran guys, you could kind of tell, you could see the difference. And I think that was the most surprising, to see how much more power as a player you have, in the NBA than you do in any other level.
A couple more minutes here with Chris Duhon, the former NBA point guard with the Magic, Lakers, Bulls. Am I forgetting anybody? Magic, Lakers, Bulls. Who else you play with?
Magic, Lakers, Bulls, and the Knicks.
Knicks?
Yep.
And best season, I think you have Knicks career high. I think points it was, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And former All-American at Duke here on ESPN Radio 94.1 from the Nike EYBL. A couple more questions and let you run here. All right, tell us about this team. Jalen Lecque is one of the top point guards in the country. I think he's rated number 9 in some places, number 5 in some places, number 50 in places. He's really, really good. Let's put it that way. And I've seen on his board he's got almost every school in the country recruiting him, including Kentucky, including UNC, including a lot of people. Duke maybe in the picture. Tell us what makes him so good.
Well, he's very athletic, and his athletic is off the charts. The way he could get off the ground really quickly. Gives him the ability to finish around the basket. And, when I mean finish, I'm not talking layups. I mean, when he gets in there, he's dunking on everybody, no matter what size. So, I mean, that's his biggest strength. What he's working on right now, he's kind of a natural two-guard, but he wants to be a point, so he's working on all the things that you need to know about being a point guard. And he's going through a little adjustment period, but I think which I think every coach sees his potential is through the roof, and once he clicks and get it together, he could be someone really, really special. So has great, really good feel for the game, good vision, could defend. Again, with his athleticism, he's a guard that can come and block shots as well. So a few things he has to tighten up on, but I think if he does that, he has his future is going to be really, really bright.
Yeah, and he played on this circuit level last year, so he's got a little bit of experience as a guard. Not always the case. Some guys move from 15 to 16 to 17. So I'll get you out on this, and we thank you for stopping by. And we'll try to squeeze Jalen in here too before you guys get going. Tell me what advice you give a young man like Jalen and others in terms of going on this journey. You've been playing it at the highest level at Duke in college, went on to the NBA. What are the things you tell them, as there's going to be a lot of different things that go forward, as we see Mr. Kersey give you some signals here? Is he trying to throw you out? He's trying to get you out of here.
He tried to throw me out a few times back in the day, but I will if anything got wrong, I'll try to make sure that we got on the same page.
Okay. Good to see you.
The main thing I tell these guys is just be yourself. I mean, these college coaches do their research. They know who you are, so I think at times when you get in these type of tournaments, guys try to do too much, and, it ends up hurting them at times because, that's just not who you are. Main thing these guys want to see is that you can compete, you play at a high level, you understand the game, you have a good attitude, and again, they've already done their research. They're just, crossing the T's, dotting their I's. And, now that in the off season, that's when you really work on your game, get better. And then if you have the opportunity, like some of these guys, to come back and play the following year, if you're a younger guy, then you can show that, hey, I've improved my game. But when you come to these things, do what you do best. That's all they want to see is what you do best. They want to see you compete, want to see you can play hard. Don't put any extra added pressure on yourself, and usually good things will happen for you.
I lied. I got to get you on this, though.
Okay.
I'd be remiss if I didn't. Give me a pick here. Game 6 tonight, Warriors, Rockets, and then Game 7 tomorrow, Cavs, Celtics. What do you think happens?
Well, with CP out, I think it changes everything. So I think Golden State definitely wins tonight. Boston's been really, really good at home. The supporting cast for LeBron hasn't really been good on the road.
Yeah.
But I think LeBron and just the experience is going to overcome.
When I hear
against
sometimes
the
the
Celtics.
longer a streak goes, Boston's undefeated at home, the more likely it is it can be snapped. And you're playing a guy that's been majestic and
he's been in this situation before. I mean, he scored 46 last night, and it was ridiculous. I mean, he could easily have 50.
Those 2 threes with the clock running down were ridiculous.
So he's going to be on a mission. I think he's going to play kind of the same way. They're going to probably get Kevin Love back, hopefully through the concussion protocol. But I think with their experience and that they've been there before, and they have a go-to guy. Yeah. Boston has a few guys, but they're still young and trying to fill their way out, become the player that they need to become. LeBron's been there before, so he's, this is nothing new for him. So I'm going to go with Cleveland.
Okay, Cleveland there. And you like Warriors in Game 7 or Rockets in Game 7?
Depends on CP3, yeah. I mean, and if he's strong CP3. If he's not strong CP3, then I think Golden State wins the series. CP3, I don't know how – it sounds like it could be a bad injury, but if he's could be 85% then I give the Rockets a chance to win in Game 7.
Well, thanks so much for stopping by. Wish you all the best in your new endeavor, coaching career. You were coaching at Marshall last year,
Yeah.
I'd say, or last few years as an assistant coach. And if you find Jalen, send him over here for your game. We appreciate it, Chris.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks
Chris
for having
Duhon,
me.
former NBA point guard and Duke standout All-American with the Blue Devils, and Mike Krzyzewski now coaching with the New York Reds here as they take on the New York Lightning on Court 1. And coming up at 11 a.m. right before the Boo Williams matchup against the Truth here at 12:30 here on ESPN Radio 94.1. It's high school sports talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com. We'll try to see if we can find Jalen Lecque here. If not, we'll pass and try to get him on some other time. He is one of the top players in the country here. We got Vernon Carey playing for Team Florida. He's one of the very best. Some places have him 1 or 2 in the country. You have Cole Anthony, the son of Greg Anthony, former All-Star guard, and of course UNLV run Rebels. You remember those great runs with those Final Four teams, just tremendous, and a lot of talent here at the Boo Williams Sportsplex for the Nike EYBL. We're going to get on David Teel here in just a few minutes from the Daily Press, the Hall of Famer sports scribe for them. Has been on the program many a times here. We thank Al, Matthew, and Jimmy for helping get us set up this morning as we are here until noon today. And we're going to put on Jalen Lecque here for a couple minutes before his game, and then we'll get Mr. Teel on in just a little bit after that and take a little bit late break, Thomas. So hang in there as we say good morning to Jalen Lecque from the Christ School, I believe it is, in North Carolina, a 5-star point guard. Watched him here last year. I got to tell you a quick story, Jalen. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right? Thanks for stopping by. I was told by a high school coach last year, he was coming to see you play last year. He heard good things about you coming down from, I believe you grew up in the New York area, was it?
Yes, it was. I live in Jersey, though.
You live in Jersey?
Yes,
okay. And you guys played Team Takeover right over here on Court 1. And not a lot of people knew about you then, and you balled out. Offense, defense, making plays, slashing, driving, shooting. Was that your coming out party, or do you feel it was another time?
That was my coming up part. I also did good in high school against St. Raymond's, but when I really came out was during this EYBL session that put my name out there.
Certainly. Now, you're already rated a 5-star guard by all the recruiting services, whether it be Rivals with us or ESPN, Scout, you name it, 247. How have you handled the attention and all these schools coming at you, which are a lot of big boys?
You know, it's a lot of pressure, just becoming a 17-year-old kid with all this pressure is tough, but I still stay focused and stay what I got to do and stay with a good path on my mind and stay focused.
Now, we just had on Chris Duhon, you know pretty well, coaching with the Reds there, former Duke guard and All-American there, played in the NBA. What advice has someone like that given you, and what have you soaked up from experiences with him and going through some of the workouts and things of that nature?
Chris is a legend. He's a good person to learn from, a real cool guy. Just try to feed all this information I got from him and just push through because he knows what to do. So I just ask him every time, like, should I do in situations, and he tells me and gives me good pointers on it.
Now, you changed. I think it was your first year at Christ School this past year?
Yes, sir.
How was that adjustment going down there and the season for you?
It was different coming from New York, playing in New York for all my life, and then going somewhere in the mountains. It was kind of different, but, I adjusted to it, and being cool with everybody there and being friendly and making them become me into a man was a great opportunity for me.
We're chatting with Jalen Lecque, the 5-star guard here with New York Reds in the Christ School on ESPN Radio 94.1 from the Nike EYBL in Hampton. They're taking on the New York Lightning on Court 1 at 11 a.m. If someone's going to pull up your highlight tape or come out here to Hampton, they're not from watching you all the time, what are they going to see out of Jalen's game that sets you apart from other guards and other players in the country in your eyes?
Athleticism, offense, and defense, and just being smart on the court, being able to deal with all the people coming after me and just being poised and playing my game no matter what. And that's probably what you're going to see most likely.
Now, I have to ask you about recruiting. I've looked at all these different forecasts, and people think they're going here, think they're going there. I've heard a lot about Kentucky and North Carolina. Give us the skinny in your eyes. What schools are on you the hardest that you're liking the most, and what's your attack mode with it, your attack plan, I should say, with it moving forward here?
I'm getting recruited by Kentucky, Duke. I didn't get recruited by UNC yet.
Okay, so
but
it's Duke.
I get recruited by Kentucky and Duke, NC State, Tennessee, Wake Forest, basically ACC schools, SEC schools. I got Illinois, I got Oregon, I got a lot of schools. So, I'm just taking it in and just talking it over my mom and dad and just talking to see what's the best situation for me.
Who was your dream offer growing up? Did you have one?
When I was younger, I used to love Syracuse because Dwayne Pearl.
Okay.
So I used to always see him and talk to him, but when he passed away, it was a real sad moment.
Syracuse offered you yet?
Yeah. They offered me last year.
What do you think of Syracuse? What'd you like?
I like Syracuse. I like Bayhive. Just a great place. I haven't visited yet, but I like the school.
You dig the 2-3 zone?
Yeah, I like the 2-3 zone, but, you know, it just depends what I like right now, because now I'm really in the fire. Like, last time I was just my dream school. Now it's like, yo, what is the school best for me? So I just got to prove.
What about Duke? What do you like about Duke and Coach K and what they bring to the table?
I like Duke. There's a lot of people going there and a lot of guards going there, but I'm cool with everybody there, and Coach Stat loves me over there, so you never know.
Okay. What about Kentucky? They've had a lot of guys go to the NBA. That's probably appeal to you, does it not?
Yeah, that's kind of my dream thing, to go one and done into the NBA, but you know, I like Kentucky as well. I'm close with Tyrese Maxey and them, so you never know. I like that school.
What's going to decide it for you as you figure out this process? What's going to be kind of the swing factors?
Team who's going to play me a lot, you know, just push through my mistakes and stuff, because I am human, and just improvement and getting better.
A couple more for you. Jalen Lecque, the 5-star guard from the Christ School in New York, Rennes here on ESPN Radio 94.1. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Come see Jalen. He's exciting to watch. Court 1 at 11 a.m. They also have a couple more games at Court 2 at 6:30 tonight. They also play at 11 a.m. tomorrow, Court 2, and they finish up Court 1 here at 5 o'clock tomorrow against New Jersey players. So come out and see Jalen play. Who was the guy in the NBA or college that you kind of loved watching, putting on the tapes? And even today, who's the guy?
I like Dennis Smith and Russell Westbrook.
Okay, what do you like about Dennis? What do you like about Russ?
Explosive, nasty attitude, and just doesn't care about anything.
What in your game has to get better? You know, it's easy to say he's a 5-star guy with tools, but there's some things you're constantly sharpening up on. What are they?
Staying consistent on, like, being a leader more, because I believe I'm a good leader, but when it comes to my team being downhill, it's kind of hard to keep them on track. So, you know, I got to just push through, and because I have a great group of guys, and just push through with them, and we'll all be fine.
Last two for these are the toughest. Give me a pick. Game 6 tonight, Warriors-Rockets. Game 7, Celtics-Cavs. Who you got?
Rockets and Cavs.
All right, and who wins in the finals? Rockets, all right. And then lastly, Yanni or Laurel?
Say that again?
Yanni or Laurel? Did you follow that?
No, I didn't follow that.
Did you hear that sound, the Yanni and Laurel?
I heard it before, but I never followed
up. You didn't hear
it?
Okay. We have to hit me up on Twitter when you hear the sound, find something, and then tell me what you heard.
Okay, sounds good.
Best of luck today. Appreciate talking with you, and wish you all the best. That's Jalen Lecque here from the Christ School, and with the New York Rens travel team here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Coming up next, we got David Teel, the Hall of Fame sports writer from the Daily Press. He'll join us right here from the Boo Williams Sportsplex. Don't go anywhere. It's a jam-packed show. Lots of fun. We got Al, we got Matthew, we got Jimmy. We got food at the concession stand. You got to pay for that. Plenty more to do. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now, live from the Boo Williams Sportsplex, it's your host, Matt Hatfield.
Back here, and thank you, Thomas. We have a special guest with us now, live and in living color. You've heard him for many years here on ESPN Radio 94.1. He is the Hall of Fame sports writer for the Daily Press. You can check out his column every week on dailypress.com. If you don't pick up a copy of the Daily Press nearby, you can follow him on Twitter, too, at David Teel DP. That's David Teel DP. And we say good morning to David. Thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing well. We've actually got you on 3. Now give us a try there.
Oops. How are we doing now?
Doing well. Tell us what brought you out here to the Boo Williams Sportsplex. You're here every year. It's a great tournament, is it not?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been coming since long before the EYBL was formed and long before the Sportsplex was built for 30-some-odd years. But, I mean, specifically today, I want to see the young man who's already committed to UVA, Casey Morceau, who plays for Team Takeover, which is undefeated.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen very often in this on this circuit. And then I want to see the local team in Boo's squad, and particularly Cam Thomas.
Yeah, Cam having 3 30-point games in his last 4 down in Atlanta. And
back-to-back 37s, right, if memory serves?
Yeah, and he was the leading scorer in the state as a freshman at Oscar Smith High in Chesapeake. Did not play this past year. Really haven't gotten to the bottom of why he didn't play. But Boo coming in with the record
6-6.
Yeah, so they're trying to get in.
They got to get some business done here this weekend, Matthew, to qualify for the Peach Jam in July.
And, you know, it's interesting, David, that Team Takeover's got a well-known program, Keith Stevens, for many years. You think about when they had Victor Oladipo, Justin Robinson, who played at Pitt, and they won the Peach Jam.
Josh Hart, right?
Josh Hart, Villanova. I mean, they've had so many guys, Keegan Savage, have come through. And it's just a litany of players. And now you look at their roster, we were talking about it before the show, Morcell, who's going to UVA, Armando Bacote. I mean, they've probably got, I don't have the list in front of me as we see the former great UVA standout Corey Alexander walking in the building here. Probably 5 top 200 guys I would estimate on their roster.
Justin Moore is already committed to Villanova. Yeah. And Hunter Dickinson, the big 7-footer from DeMatha, I know he's on a lot of people's radar. So, yeah, I mean, with that kind of talent, you'd think they'd do very well. But still, to be 12-0 coming in here is pretty darn impressive. I was talking to Morcell on the phone the other day, and Matt, you follow recruiting far more than I do and realize how much of it is based on relationships. And his recruitment was fascinating because he had family connections through his brother, Mike, who played at Towson, just graduated from Towson, was a 14-point-a-game scorer. And so he had deep family connections to Penn State and Oklahoma State through assistant coaches. And those are his 2 leading schools until UVA came in and won him over, essentially starting from scratch. But Tony Bennett and Jason Williford and the rest of them were able to win him over. And then, of course, UVA's success this past season, the NCAA tournament notwithstanding, didn't hurt.
Yeah, I think Williford's cut up to be a head coach one day. We just saw Ron Sanchez get the job at Charlotte. So.
Oh, yeah, it's a matter of time for Jason. And when Ron went to Charlotte, Tony Bennett promoted Jason into that associate head coach role, essentially the number 2 spot. Yeah, he'll have his own program someday, but I think guys in that position, when you're at a high major like that's got it going on, which Virginia obviously does, I think you need to be picky because you don't want to end up in one of those coach killer jobs where you go and get fired after 4 years, really through no fault of your own.
It's almost like those guys that make that jump to the NBA where there's no guarantee you can go back to that. That's people wonder about Jay Wright with the NBA, and it's like, if he goes to the Knicks, Villanova's it was his dream job. He loves it there. If you leave that, there's no guarantee you go back to that.
Don't mess with happy.
Yes.
I mean, it's true, and Jay Wright has said that many times, and I'll be very surprised if he scratches that NBA itch.
Speaking with David Teel here, the Hall of Fame sports scribe with the Daily Press here on High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1, live from the Brewplex here in Hampton. I think you were the guy that first deemed it the Brewplex many years ago in one of your columns, and you did an outstanding piece on Tony Bennett before the tournament. It's one of the best I've read all year, by the way. And
thank you.
I've seen this from a lot of people, and I see it in high school coaches too. They have a lot of success. They get to the playoffs. They lose. They say, he's not a good coach. This system's messed up. You hear it with recruits. Why would you go to UVA and play in their system? But UVA before him had some success, but not this sustained level of excellence in a conference where UNC and Duke and Syracuse and Louisville, it's so hard. Tell me, you're around them a lot more than I am and people out there listening. What makes him so unique?
I really think, Matthew, you hit on it. It's the adherence to his system, which he learned from his dad, but a willingness to adjust. And people would say, well, he's not going to get away from that pack line defense. No, that part of it is non-negotiable. But there are plenty of tweaks that he's made over the years to adjust to the talent that he has. And anyone who in preseason would have suggested that any team, even Duke, as loaded as it was, would go 20-1 in the ACC, 17-1 during the regular season, and then sweep the 3 games in the conference tournament. Are you joking me?
Without a lottery pick on its roster, they don't have a stud that you can lean on.
20-1, and that one being an overtime loss to Virginia Tech, where if Virginia makes a couple of 1-1s down the stretch, they win that game in regulation.
Yeah.
So, and Tony Bennett's been to the Elite Eight. He's been to the Sweet 16. Don't tell me that his system won't work in postseason. Hey, did they have a terrible game and lose, in the loss to UMBC? Absolutely. But I think the way that he and his players comported themselves after that game is a testament to them. and I think it will fuel them moving forward.
Well, and there's no mistaking it was a bad loss. I think there's a lot of blame to go around when something like that happens. But you know this, that you saw the outpouring on social media after the loss. People felt for him because of what a quality guy he is, besides being just a quality coach. And we just mentioned Jay Wright. Look at all the people that said Jay Wright could never get it done. And also a guy, he's getting a little bit higher level recruits than UVA, but not getting the Marvin Bagleys, the Anthony Davises that Duke and Kentucky splashed with, and he broke through eventually. It takes time.
It does, and Jay Wright had plenty of years where he didn't get through the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
Lost that year to St. Mary's, which was a stunner.
Yeah, and hey, you're in this game long enough. You're going to Duke has lost to VCU and to Lehigh, and and to Mercer in the first round. I mean, the only coach who's really avoided that first round trap is Roy.
Pretty much.
I mean, he really has. But it's been Izzo over the years. How many years has Bill Self been knocked out?
A lot.
In the first weekend.
For 1 year, or for one stretch before this year, his Elite Eight record was like 2-8, and he won a championship against Calipari and Kentucky, or Calipari and Memphis. When he had Rose. But a lot of people have and this year it looks like Kansas might be the team to beat with all they return. They bring in David McCormick from Oak Hill. And what's the we're chatting with David Teel here from the Daily Press here at Nike EYBL on ESPN Radio 94.1. You have the pulse of the ACC, and we'll have to get you in studio sometime when I got my co-host, the Coach Young. When you got some time one of these weekends, we could go a couple of hours with you easy and take some phone calls and go all over the ACC with football, basketball, you name it. What's kind of your pulse of it right now with some of these coaches like Roy and Krzyzewski and Boeheim? We saw Patino get ousted. They're near the end. What's kind of your outlook of it moving forward here?
That's the fascinating part of it, Matthew. And another one that you didn't mention, if you look at him on TV, you'd never guess this. Leonard Hamilton is 69 years old.
Right, I forgot. And they had a great run. And he was for many years, I being one of them that was like, I don't trust him in a big spot. And look what they did this year.
Right. And I should look so good at 58 as he does at 69. Yeah. But he's obviously a short timer. So there's going to be serious coaching transition.
Jim Larenega's up there too.
Yes, Jim Larenega is approaching 70. So you just don't know because of the unknown as to who will replace these guys. And in the case of Boeheim, Roy, and Krzyzewski, Hall of Fame coaches, and that's what makes Tony Bennett and Buzz Williams at Virginia and Virginia Tech respectively in such curious spots. If they are long timers in their job, can they essentially take advantage of the transitions elsewhere and move their programs even further? I mean, if Buzz gets the Hokies to the NCAA tournament this upcoming season, it will be the first time ever that Virginia Tech's been in 3 consecutive NCAAs.
And he's a name that, coming from Marquette, people are whispering, does he want one of those Big 12, like an Oklahoma State SEC job? And some of those places. And Tech is one of those programs that are knocking on the door. Wisconsin, you saw how good they were. The teams they've been drawing haven't been the best in that 8-9 spot. But Tech has seemed to have been very close. They've had the injury with Chris Clark. What do you think? Are the Hokies going to break through, you think, coming up? Or?
I think they absolutely should, given all that they have coming back. And, Ty Outlaw sat all of last season because he blew out his knee in the summertime. And you remember back the year before, after Chris Clark went out, that was Ty Outlaw's breakout time, and he became one of the best deep shooters in the league, if not the country, and was a primary reason why the Hokies did get to the tournament in 2017. So I think you put him back in the mix. And now Kadeem C., the big 7-footer, is apparently back in good graces with the program and will play next season. Now, I think surely Virginia Tech will be upper half of the league.
Mm-hmm. The state of college basketball, you've been to how many Final Fours now?
I've covered 27.
And you were at this one?
I was in San Antonio.
We've asked this to a lot of our guests. It's been an interesting year. The on-court material has been as good as ever, it seems like. The off-court material has got everybody, asking questions, things we've known for years.
But you're talking about with the FBI investigation.
What's your feel of college basketball? To go a little bit further, are you a guy that believes, and I think this is coming, we chatted about this in depth last week, a couple of our guests, including Kenny Anderson, that it seems like there's a push, and maybe I'm wrong, to let the kids go from high school to the pros. Are you sensing that yourself?
Absolutely.
Would that be good or bad in your eyes?
It'd be great.
Okay.
No, that's the way it should be. I mean, if they're LeBron, if they're Kobe, if they're Kevin Garnett, God bless and have at it. And that way you're not forcing them essentially to spend a year in college when they don't want to be there. But that's an NBA issue. That's not a college basketball issue. That's between Adam Silver and the NBA Players Association. But I absolutely get a sense that Adam Silver wants to get that done.
See, I have no problem if they leave after whatever year, high school, college. And you mentioned it's a distinguished, different issue. I look at these guys that sometimes that money's not going to be there. You look at McAdoo. If he'd come out, James McAdoo, he would have been projected as a lottery pick, went undrafted. But I like the idea that, and this could apply to high school, I think, if you don't get, you have a certain time to go back.
Yes.
And I think that's a good rule, which wasn't always there.
Well, and the Rice Commission, so-called because of Condoleezza Rice being the chairman, in its report, and the whole Rice Commission was formed in the wake of the FBI investigation, one of its primary recommendations is for a college player who declares for the draft and goes through the entire process and goes undrafted, he does not lose his college eligibility. He is welcome to come back and play college basketball. And that's a great idea.
I think so, too. Before we let you run, David Teel here with us from the Daily Press. You can check out his work in the Daily Press, dailypress.com. Follow him on Twitter, too, at David Teel DP. That's David, Teel DP. Tell the folks what's coming up in the Daily Press. They can see your stories coming up. What you got?
Well, in tomorrow's paper, I'll have a story on Casey Morsell, the UVA commitment. And then I'm going to write about Cam Thomas from Oscar Smith presently. we don't know where he'll be next high school season. That'll be in Monday's paper. All right. And then later on next week, I'll have a story on a Duke football player from Newport News who recently returned from a Habitat for Humanity mission in Guatemala.
Really?
Yeah, really cool story. Chris Jones, he was fascinating to talk to. He's currently interning up in Washington, D.C. for Senator Mark Warner.
Wow.
So, yeah, the young man's got a lot going on. He's very bright. He's from Hampton Roads Academy, and he's, I believe he's going into his redshirt sophomore year at Duke in the football program. He's a linebacker, but a really terrific young man. So that's kind of what's on the plate here in the next week or so.
Those are always the fun pieces when you interview a young male or young female athlete, and you say to yourself, this person's going to be successful, whether it's even on the courts, in life, they've got it made.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, David, thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely, Matt. Thanks for having me.
David Teel from the Daily Press with us this morning here on High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com here from the Boo Williams Sportsplex in Hampton, the Nike EYBL. Again, check out those stories coming up in the Daily Press and on dailypress.com. Casey Morsell, Cam Thomas, and much more. The young man from Duke there. That's an interesting one as well. So it's been a jam-packed couple of segments here. We've had on David Teel. We've had on Jalen Lecque, 5-star point guard from Christ School. And we also spoke with Chris Duhon. If you missed any of these segments, you can find them later up, archived on VirginiaPreps.com. But when we come back, I know some callers out there are waiting with bated breath to go over some happenings in spring sports. We'll give you an update on what's happening with the region baseball tournament, some of the softball tournament, some of the action with high school baseball, spring sports. Give us a call. You have time now if you're waiting on hold there. I know we had Keith and Mark from Chesapeake. Give us a call now at 757-687-9494. We might even make some picks here on a couple of these tournaments. 757-687-9494. We'll get you in here. You can also hit us up on Twitter anytime, day or night. That's HS Sports Talk 941. HS Sports Talk 941. Right here, only on ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now, live from the Boopex, it's your host, Matt Hatfield.
I see what you did there, Thomas, from the Booplex. But we've talked a lot of basketball. We got time to talk some baseball. I know we got on hold Keith and Mark. Let's go to if we can squeeze them in here. And again, phone lines are open all morning long. 757-687-9494. We didn't take any calls last week at all. You can hit us up on Twitter, too, at HS Sports Talk 941. Let's go first up to Mark in Chesapeake if we got him out there. Mark, you out there?
Hey, Matt, thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I just wanted to talk some high school baseball. I mean, we had a Peninsula team, Lafayette, beat Great Bridge yesterday in the Group 4 and Group 5 baseball games going on at Ward Memorial all day today. And then Group 6 at the higher seeds. It looks like all quarterfinal games are going to be at 1 o'clock, and I'll be at the rematch of last year's state championship game, and they meet in this year's region quarterfinals. You got Cox at Western Branch at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, I want to get your take on that here in just a second. I know you're close to the Western Branch Bruins there, and it's a rematch from the region baseball and state baseball championship. Also, they met in basketball this year in the region championship and state semis. But you mentioned that. We've got full brackets mark up on VirginiaPreps.com. All the regions for baseball. Go check it out on our front page, free to view. And there's been some upsets. Listen to these real quick. Number 8 seeds, and this is not all just local, but number 8 seed in Region 6B, Franklin County took out Manchester. That's just one surprise upset there. You have another upset, which was in Region 5B. Deep Run beat Mills Godwin, who was figured to be the favorite, coming out of Richmond for Region 5. So Deep Run, the 8 seed advance. You mentioned in 4, which is local, our final 4 seeds are a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 10, with Grafton as the 1, Jamestown as the 3, Deep Creek as the 5, Lafayette as the 10. So some good Bay Rivers representation. As you see, Joey Majuzowicz had a big game yesterday as Grafton beat Lake Taylor 17-0, and Lafayette's taken out Great Bridge as a stunner with all the success Great Bridge has had. You don't see that very often. And then also a couple more upsets before we get back to your mark here. Listen to these. I mean, just upsets galore. Region 3D, Northside, the 8 took out Tunstall 4-3. We had another upset, which was in Region, how about Class 1? I know it's the single A schools. We got to give them some love. We got some fans and listeners out there. The final 4 in Region 1A. You think it's to be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? You got left a 4 seed in Northumberland, a 9 seed in Essex, a 10 seed in Rappahannock, and an 11 seed in West Point. So all the chalk is out the window, which makes me wonder, this new system has to be addressed. We've said it with winter sports and basketball. I don't like the PowerPoint setup. You get 3 points for a win, nothing for a loss. I don't think it's right. I think certain districts, as you know, Mark, with the Southeastern, they play more challenging baseball than other districts in the area. And I'm not saying other districts aren't as good. I'm just saying it's more competitive with Western Branch and Hickory and Great Bridge and Nansman and all those schools, and Deep Creek on the cusp here as we see. And I don't think that's the fair way to set it up. Now I want to know what's it looking like in your eyes? Western Branch, Cox. I know Cox has a couple of big hitters. They're a lower seed. You guys senior laden with Butler and Epley and Ethan Alexander and that crew. Give me a thought on today's game. What do you think is going to be the key?
I think what's going to be key is our senior leadership, and like you said, with our shortstop Connor Butler, our outfielder Connor Epley, and behind the plate we got Ethan Alexander, but we got our junior, we got our ace Antonio Velasquez, and out there in right we got another senior, like Coach Wright talked about a couple of weeks ago, Timmy Cassidy. I mean, regional playoffs, it's win or go home, but I like our chances today, and I like our chances to prevail. I'm a Western Branch alum and been helping out here the last 5 years, and we've been on a nice run. And also since you've done things out there in mostly in the peninsula, Butler's older brother Kyle, he was on the state championship team in 2014. He's going to be one of the guys playing for the Peninsula Pilots.
Oh, really?
Summer, but but no, I like our chances. I mean, with senior leadership and then Antonio, a junior, and sophomore Reed Long, they're on the mound. I'm pulling for my Bruins this afternoon, and if you can't make it to the game, I'll try to provide the fans. I know it's a busy weekend, but with updates there on Twitter. And thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. We appreciate it. And tag me. I'll try to retweet those as I'm out here at the Booplex all day. We've got some more matchups we'll go over in the next hour as well. But we'll squeeze in here. Thank you, Mark. Keith from Smithfield before we get to our next special guest, which is Mr. Cam Bacote, former Bethel All-State guard with the new college destination. But let's get in Mr. Keith from Smithfield. What's happening, Keith?
How you doing this morning, Matt Haffey? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. We got Cam Bacote coming up next. I know you want to talk some football. You guys got to get a new football coach, it looks like, as Reginald Chavis is on the move to Norview High School in Norfolk.
Yes, sir. He shocked me Monday when I saw him. He left Monday. It shocked me a little bit, you know. It still shocked a little bit.
So what goes on now with the Packers? What do you think? You got any inside scoop on who the next coach might be?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. We got to wait to see. You know, if we come in there, you know, they got a good group of guys. It's gonna work.
Well, Keith, you can always apply for the job. I mean, you've got the energy, you got the emotion, you got the chutzpah. Just get a whistle, get a big hat, and tell everybody where to go. That's all you gotta do.
I'm thinking about myself. I think about this. Guys come out this year. The seniors come out. I was thinking about stepping away from game this year. I was thinking when I heard the breaking news he going to Norview. I was going to leave myself.
Well, Keith, you can never step away. You're always attached to the fabric over there in Smithfield and the fans, and you got everything going on over there. You're connected, and we appreciate you coming on. And any plans for Memorial Day? What you got going on?
Oh, the Bam Bam thing. They had a chance to have something today this evening. He's gonna have a little cookout down in Norfolk School. Pay the food today. You can come on by. See Cam Chancellor. All the boys are home today.
Oh yeah, that should be fun. Well, don't eat too much food and save Ed Young a plate because I hear he's coming back later tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's the one and only Keith from Smithfield with us here. And we now have a special guest, as we said, former All-State guard at Bethel High School in Hampton. Just finished up his freshman campaign at Maryland Eastern Shore, and he'll be transferring to Indiana State. We say good morning. I think you're on 3, Cam. Say hello.
Hello.
Well, that's not it. Try this one.
Hello.
Oh, that's you. You're on 2. The headphones get mixed up. We have Cam Bacote, former Maryland Eastern Shore guard, played at Bethel High School in Hampton, and now going to Indiana State. What made you decide to transfer? You had a good freshman year. We highlighted in the story up on VirginiaPreps.com. Give us a thought on the decision, and was it easy for you?
With Coach Collins not coming back to Maryland Eastern Shore, I just felt like it was the right decision to move on and start something new. And, I mean, the decision was really easy. When Indiana State got involved, Coach Brett Carey, Coach Greg Lanson, those are great guys. And, I mean, it was just a simple decision. And, I mean, I went with my gut feeling, and I said, yeah, this is the spot for me.
Now, as you go into the college game, there's always that. We talked with Chris Duhon this morning, former Duke guard and NBA player. Everybody talks about the speed of the game, high school to college, college to pro. You making that transition, was that the biggest thing for you, speed of the game? And what else really was something that you had to get used to as you made that transition from Bethel High School to Maryland Eastern Shore this past year? Yeah,
speed of the game was big, and just the strength. It really taught me a lot about myself, taught me I had to get way stronger, and just taught me I had to get my game way better. I was pretty good in high school, but there's some pretty good players out there, and it really opens your eyes and says you need to get in the gym and work.
What was the first rude awakening moment you had? Was it on the court? Was it off the court? It was kind of like, oh, this isn't going to be quite as fun as I hoped. It's going to be work, which you knew probably going in was going to be work, but what was like, this might be a little more work than I anticipated perhaps.
The first rude awakening moment, we played Maryland, and I cut across the lane, and Justin Jackson hit me, and he said, this is grown man basketball.
Really? So he talked a little smack to you. Now, you had a pretty decent game against Maryland. What'd you have, like
18, I think. It was pretty good.
Did you dish it back to him when you hit the jumper or no?
No, he wasn't really listening back to me.
See, Cam's got that real poise. He's the nice guy, but he's got a little bit of smack talk on him, even though it's not necessarily the Bacote way. Indiana State. You look at that program, everybody says, in fact, I just heard it today. They walked by, oh, he's going to Larry Bird University. How much have you heard that in the last 2.5, 3 weeks?
Oh, my gosh. When I went out there, everything is Larry Bird. The first thing that comes to mind is Larry Bird. Everybody, that's the first thing they bring up, Larry Bird. So, I mean, it's hard not to bring him up.
You come back to an event like this, you're obviously here home for the summer here. I guess you could say it's the beginning of summer with it being Memorial Day weekend. Even though you didn't play in the Nike, you played in the Adidas with Team Loaded.
Yeah.
Bring back some memories. You see a lot of familiar faces. I see some of your boys out here, Taquan Drummond, Marquise Godwin, and others. Bring back some good memories?
Yeah, definitely brings back some good memories. I'm just glad to see these young guys cherishing these moments, man, because it's great. They got a great opportunity playing in front of all these people, and it's a great setup here.
Now, go into Indiana State. Give us a vibe. It is so far from home, and you've been close to home for pretty much your whole life. I know Maryland Eastern Shore is a little bit away, but what's the difference in hours from Maryland Eastern Shore to Hampton and Indiana State to Hampton?
Maryland Eastern Shore to Hampton is like 2.5.
Okay.
Indiana State is a 12-hour drive.
Yeah, so you can do the Maryland one in a night. You can't do the Indiana State in one night.
Yeah.
How did your family take it that you're going that far away?
They love it. My mom definitely loves it, wanted me to get away. I know my dad is excited. He also wanted me to get away, and just a change of scenery, meet new people, meet great people, and just venture out and start something new.
We're chatting with Cam Bacote, the former All-State guard from the Bethel Bruins, here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Just finished up his freshman campaign in college at Maryland Eastern Shore. Will be going to Indiana State. Now, you'll be sitting out this coming year, correct?
Yep.
That thought, because a lot of kids don't like to sit out, how are you going to, I guess, prepare for next year with this time off?
Actually, everybody I've talked to, they say, oh, man, you got to sit out, you got to sit out. I'm like, nah, I actually want to sit out. I want to sit out. I want to get stronger. I want to get better. I want to learn. I'm going to relish this opportunity right here.
Now, some college recruiters had this question for you coming out of high school, and I'm sure some even were wondering as you were getting a lot of looks and attention on as you were making your decision to transfer. Cam Bacote, he's a savvy guard. He makes plays, doesn't force it, gets his teammates involved. And they wonder, is he a one or a two? Did you get that as well? And what are you in your eyes now? People want to ask that question. You a point guard, two guard? How do you describe your game?
I feel like I'm a point guard.
Okay.
Some people call me a two guard. But I feel like now the game is becoming so positionless that it's just, are you a player, really? And I feel like I'm a player. And I feel like if you just throw me out there, I'm gonna get it done. So That's how I feel like I am.
Now, Indiana State, tell me some things about them. People running here and say, going to Indiana State, we know Larry Bird went there. Tell the listeners a little bit about what you learned, because you obviously went up there and got to tour it a little bit. What did you take away from it?
The campus is great. They're building a lot. I see the basketball program is on the rise. He really wants to get it back to where it once was. And, I mean, the guys, they were nice guys. When I went up there, they competed when we played open gym. They really want to win. And, I mean, the vibe around there was just all basketball. Indiana, basketball state. It was just a lot of basketball. Just everything was around Indiana State basketball, and that's what I really love.
What was the toughest matchup you had this year at Maryland Eastern Shore on the court? Because you played a lot of good teams out at conference. People don't know. They say, oh, they're in the MEAC. Maybe they don't play some of these big boys. You guys had a pretty tenacious out-of-conference schedule, it appeared.
Probably maybe Maryland. Anthony Cowan, good guard. That was a fun matchup.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And in the league up there for Indiana State, anybody you're kind of circling, you're looking forward to going to see and play?
I mean, everybody's bringing up Loyola Chicago. They're in the MVC. So
you want to see Sister Jean, right?
Yeah, I'm a see her.
Did you get her autograph?
No, I don't think I'm gonna do that.
Oh, okay. But you'll take a picture, like a selfie or something, right? Like,
yeah, I might get a selfie.
Put it out there.
Yeah.
Fill us in. How's Big Brother doing, Aaron?
Aaron, he's great. I was just texting him earlier. He was over there working with Hampton University. And I mean, like Aaron would say, everything he touched kind of turns to gold. I mean, I know Hampton has their program running, but Aaron went over there, and I mean, they went back to the MEAC championship. So I mean, I like to say that he's doing a pretty good thing with this coaching thing.
Some people suspected with him being over there that would be where you would land. But people don't realize that MEAC, you can't transfer. I don't believe you could transfer within, right?
No, that was a restriction. Really.
Who else was in the picture for you besides Indiana State that you ended up choosing?
Indiana State, Milwaukee got involved, Ryder got involved, Northern Colorado, IUPUI, a few others I can't think of them right now.
Now, I hate to bring up sore subjects, but a couple years ago, you guys at Bethel get to the state championship. You lose that tough one to LC Bird, who you had beaten the year before in our Virginia Preps Classic in Richmond. How much do you think about that game?
I think about it a lot. I was actually talking to Pinky Wiley and Mario Haskett the other day. We're supposed to work out when they come down here.
People don't know, Mario is at Harvard, Pinky's at Delaware State, and Mario's dad, I believe, played at Warwick High School in Newport News.
Yeah.
So. But you said you were going to work out the other day?
Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to come down and work out with me. And I mean, I think about it all the time. And, I mean, there's nothing I can do to go back in the past and change it, but, man, yeah.
You keep up with some of your Bethel teammates, DeJour Dickens up at Providence, and Jeremiah Wusu. Sound like he's going to field this year at Notre Dame.
Yep, I was just with them yesterday. Wusu, he's real hype about this year. I'm going to probably go catch some games being in Indiana. DeJour, he's definitely excited about his year coming up. So, I mean, I'm just proud of all my Bethel teammates and what they're doing.
All right, I'm going to get you out on this. This is the toughest one yet. Actually, two. NBA playoffs. So we got Game 6 tonight. We got Rockets-Warriors, no CP3. Tomorrow's Game 7. You got the Celtics. That's Jimmy's team, so if you don't pick him, he's going to punch you in the face. Although I'll try to block him. Against LeBron and the Cavs. And then give me the winner of the finals as well.
Tonight, Golden State is going to win.
I agree.
Then Houston is going to win in Houston Game 7.
Oh, really? Will Paul be back?
Yeah, he'll be back.
Okay.
It's going to be Houston versus Cleveland in the finals. And nobody's going to like when I say this, but LeBron is going to win it, and he's going to solidify himself as the GOAT.
Oh, I don't know about all that. He played tremendous last night. I can't take anything away from him. He was great last night. I might fight you off on some old heads, and your dad would probably side with me. Like
yeah,
Chamberlain,
my dad is going to say
Russell,
that I'm
Jordan.
stupid.
But although I'm not a big Jordan guy, I'm a Karl Malone guy. He crushed my heart every time. And then here's the real tricky one: Yanni or Laurel?
Oh my gosh, it was Laurel. That's all I heard in that video.
Yeah, I just asked Jalen Lecque. He hadn't heard it yet, but that's what I heard was Laurel too. So Jimmy heard hungry. So all right, we're out of time. Thank you, Cam, for stopping by. Appreciate it. Cam
Appreciate
Bacote,
you having me.
Bethel High School with us this morning from the Boo Williams Sportsplex, Nike EYBL. Now Jimmy's gonna throw stuff at me later for saying that. But thank you, Cam, for stopping by. The former Bethel All-State guard and. Of course, the Bacote family name synonymous around the Hampton roads. I think Al's probably seen every Bacote play by now, just about. Matthew hasn't. He's a little on the younger side like me. I hadn't seen them all. Jimmy's seen about most of them, about 75% of the Bacotes play. But always a good young man. We always appreciate having him on. We're going to try to find, was it Bryan Kersey's going to come on next? Yeah, we're going to take a break, Thomas, because I know we're well overdue, and we might have more calls coming. We'll leave the phone lines open at 757-687-9494. More to do here. Don't go anywhere. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now, live on the road, let's get back to your host, Matt Hatfield.
Thank you, Thomas. Thomas Simmons back in our Virginia Beach studios, man in the ship. We got Al, we got Jimmy, we got Matthew here. Matt Hatfield, the coach Ed Young is not with us today. He'll deal with some personal matters, so we wish Coach all the best. Hopefully have him back next week as we turn the calendar from May to June. It was a jam-packed first hour. We had on David Teel from the Daily Press, Jalen Lecque, five-star guard from New York Wrens and the Christ School, as well as Cam Bacote, the Bethel High School product, headed to Indiana State. And, of course, Chris Duhon, the former ACC standout at Duke.
Yeah, very good.
In the NBA. We now have another special guest, a guy with, you mentioned ACC. He's very synonymous with the ACC. You know his dad was a longtime referee, Jess Kersey. We have Bryan Kersey here, 27 years in the ACC, now the supervisor of officials for the ACC, Atlantic 10, and Colonial Athletic Association. Bryan, thanks for stopping by.
Oh, it's great to be here. Just nothing like basketball, is it?
Ed is going to punch me for having you on and him
Good.
not being here. So
well, it'll hurt if he punches you. It will definitely hurt.
It will, because he's also punched me because a few weeks ago he hit the trifecta for the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, wow.
But, as he likes to say, he didn't contribute to it, and he's blaming me for having to cover a 7-on-7. So I'm already dealing with a lot of medicine as it is.
Well,
so,
he's not here. We can talk about him while he's not here.
Absolutely. That's the fun part. But
That's right.
Tell me about your new gig. It's what, year 3 coming up?
Yeah, it'll be year 3. It's crazy. You know, I got so many leagues, and then, you know, I have 5 other leagues: the Ivy Patriot, the Northeast, the Big South, and the MEAC, which have their supervisors, but we can put some young guys in there to work. So I'm here. This is their staff camp working this. So I'm here watching some of these guys, and you know, we can elevate them and get them some more games. And they have a great supervisor in Larry Rose who does an outstanding job training them and getting them ready. He kind of lets me know which ones to look at, and we just move them up through the ranks into the Big South and then go up in the Northeast and then through the Colonial and hopefully, give them a light to look at and maybe get in the ACC one day.
It's hard to compare you guys to players, so I have to do it with coaches making that move to, the front office. So do you miss it? You did it 27 years in the ACC. Yeah. What was the biggest adjustment you had to make?
It's hard to watch games. It is, but I miss every game that's played, refereeing them, but I don't miss getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting on a plane. That was the worst part of the jobs. I'd leave November the 10th. I'd come home for Christmas, and I'd leave right after Christmas and come home and pack, go to the ACC tournament. But I miss the games, the competition. I get to see the guys all the time. I get out a lot. I go to about 75 games a year, just to see the guys, hang out with them. I watch a lot of games. I watch every game in all 3 leagues all the time. Every night when they're played live, I have 4 TVs here. Down in my ACC office down there, they have me 9, so I can watch any game in the country pretty much that I want to watch. So this is the best job because it's the best league in the country. It's the only job I would have come off the floor to take.
Yeah, it's funny. I spoke with, before he passed away, the longtime announcer, Terry Sisisky, was a good friend of mine, VCU in Petersburg High School. He said the one thing he hated was the travel. He said he still loved the game, he loved the atmosphere, all of that goes with it, but it was the travel is what ate him alive.
Travel, if every game could be in Miami, it would be different. But, Boston College is in there. You have to go to New York. I was in a lot of different leagues for a long time, so you battle snow and weather and everything else. And, eventually I'll lose flying status, but it's okay. I'm home or I'm driving. I fly a lot less. If it's snowing, I'm going to get on a plane. I don't have to go. So it works out well. But like I said, this is a dream job.
Without going super in depth, kind of give the fan out there a little bit of what your day is like when you go in Monday, being supervisor of officials. What's kind of the day-to-day, I guess, outlook for you?
The bad thing is I have 2 cell phones now. All the coaches have my number. So usually mornings are dealing with coaches. They send plays. I break down plays. I call them, talk about every play, and then I talk to all of my crews throughout the day that are getting ready to work. Which like opening night, I could have 25 games going at one time. If we've got a problem with a player, then we'll talk to them. If we've had problems in the past with something, with the ACC, all the matchups are so big, and they're all fighting for NCAA bids from opening night on. So we deal with that, and then, about 10 minutes to 7, you sit down, you cut all the TVs on, and you see what's going on. If I'm at a game, I'll get there about an hour before the game, see the guys, go visit both coaches, and then watch the games, evaluate them. The great part about our guys now is we have we have a replay system, but that replay system also translates into, as soon as the game's over with, I get it on my iPad. All the referees get it on theirs, so we can look at plays within 5 minutes of the game being over with. We can review plays, and it helps them big time.
We were just chatting too. Now with the ACC Network starting up in a year, it's going to be more technology, which I think is a plus, not a minus.
No, it's definitely a plus. They're going to be doing everything, I think, out of Bristol. They're going to have really, it's in place now, and the technology that we're going to have is just going to be, it's phenomenal, and it makes our guys so accountable, which is so hard to get into now. There's so many cameras at games. There's so many microphones at games. They can't say anything. They can't do anything. They can't get away with anything anymore.
Very true. We're chatting with Bryan Kersey, longtime ACC official, 30 years, now the supervisor of officials for the A10, CAA, and ACC here on ESPN Radio 94.1 as we talk to you live from the Boo Williams Sportsplex in Hampton for the Nike EYBL. People ask you, and I'm going to get to it, what things would you like to see changed in the game. What are some of the things you've seen, I guess, addressed in the game the last few years recently that you've liked?
Well, I think the freedom of movement is great for our game. It's kind of opened up the game. It's kind of made everybody play on a level playing field. And if you notice, everybody's got, pretty much the same size players. They have that one big guy inside. They have a lot of shooters. Yeah. So it's allowed the guards to get back into play, and it's allowed the big guys to take shots and block shots. I think that's helped our game big time. I think technology, again, has helped our game because of the officiating can get better. When I was working, it was totally different. It was completely opposite. But, our kids that play now, these guys that are here, so big, so fast, so strong, it's It's amazing, athleticism, everything. They're getting, a lot more athletic coming up now than what they were. And it just changes everything. We have to be a lot more aware. You have to be aware of clocks. And, it's, all this stuff has made our referees better with clocks especially.
My guess is it's going to be replay, but what do you get asked about most? What is
replay every day.
Yeah.
A lot of end of games. The last 2 minutes of a game are now taking 15, 20 minutes. We go over there too long. We go over there too much. We have to trust ourselves a little bit more. A lot of times we don't go and the coaches want us to go, and then we get yelled at for going. So, I think we've got to get to a point where we don't go as often as we do, because if we don't have to go for out-of-bounds play of 16 minutes, we shouldn't have to go. But, the rules allow us to get it right. Replay makes us prove that we were right. Sometimes we're wrong. And we've just got to figure out a way to make that quicker.
You're a basketball junkie at heart, so you see
Absolutely.
it high school, college, pro ranks, summer ball, the whole 9 yards. What would you like to see changed or addressed in the college game and compared to the pro game even? What would you like to see if you had the decision made on your end?
Well, honestly, I'd like to see them leave the game alone.
Okay.
I think what we're going to end up doing is I think we'll probably end up making the three-point line longer. I think we'll make the lane wider. I think we'll do some things with the shot clock. But I wish we could go like 4 years and not change anything, and let's see where our game is at that point. I think the NBA does that. I think they put rules in place, and the game is the game. They're bigger and stronger and it's rougher and all that. I understand that, but the strength of those guys is a lot different than the strength of our guys. And I think that we can get used to how we're playing and let the game speak for itself, because college basketball is awesome. You look at March Madness, not just March Madness, but you go to all the conference tournaments. You go to an upset in the middle of February that gets put on page one. It's great. It's a great sport. It has a great fan base. I just wish they'd leave it alone so the fans understand what's going on, and then everybody else can as well.
Well, and the NCAA tournament gets scrutinized more than anything else out there, it feels like. Did you
No doubt. Oh, no, it's crazy. It's, Virginia gets beat. I went to Charlotte for the first 2 rounds, saw Virginia get beat, North Carolina get beat. That's the beauty of it. But, the scrutiny at the Final Four and the NCAA tournament is, the Final Four's got 26 cameras. They got one that's on track going up and down. They got one that's on a string going back and forth. So, you can't – there's nothing you can miss. When you have 48 microphones, you have 4 on the backboard. Anything you say is done. So, scrutiny is bad. The thing that they've done now in the NCAA tournament, if you kick a rule, if you're a referee and you kick a rule, you get sent home. So, it's crazy. It's nuts. But, accountability is out there because of the media base that's out there and the fan base, and we just have to rise to that occasion.
I'll get you on this one. We're chatting with Bryan Kersey, supervisor of officials for the ACC A10CA here on ESPN Radio 94.1 from the Boo Williams Sportsplex in Hampton for the Nike EYBL. What advice would you tell a young guy who wants to be a referee, or a young lady, or someone that's just starting out as a referee, because this is a very difficult, tedious business?
Correct.
What are the things you would tell them, and what do you tell them on a regular basis?
Well, we let them know the accountability that's out there. Number one, they got to be in shape. It's hard to believe, but nowadays when you compete against somebody, there's so much competition out there that you're competing against people that are in shape every night, and you have to do that. You have to be able to take criticism, because video doesn't lie. I rely a lot on video, and we show video. I send training videos out. I can pull up a play and watch it, and then they have to look at it. So you have to be able to do that, and you have to be a good listener. And if you can listen, then you'll be all right, whether it's a coach, whether it's another referee telling you to do something, whether it's a player. You have to be able to communicate with them. If you can't communicate, you're not going to be long in this business anymore, because the days of walking away or just telling a coach to be quiet is no longer here. They're making millions of dollars. A lot of plays they deserve a voice on. Even if you're wrong, you have to give them a voice. Other than that, just make sure you get out there and work every night. That's the great thing. When I made sure I worked every night because of the cameras. And if you don't work, camera's going to exploit you, and you're going to be sent home.
Yeah, we tell us to kids all the time, even when they're playing football, basketball, baseball. Tape don't lie, numbers don't lie. It's right there.
Exactly right, 100%.
Well, hey, thank you so much for stopping by, and I
Thank
promise
you.
you next time we get you on, we'll have Ed.
That's fine. That's great. Thank you so much.
Kersey, thanks for stopping by. That is the longtime ACC official, 27 years supervisor of officials with the ACC, A10, and CAA. Good chatting with him here on the program. Time is flying by. I could spend hours upon hours with these people, but we got to go to break here. We got 2 more segments if the time is right here. 2 more segments. We'll try to squeeze in some more phone calls. I think we might have had a couple people call in. The phone number again is 757-687-9494. You want to hop in here, 757-687-9494. Got a lot of baseball action, spring sports action. Come on by to the Boo Williams Sportsplex all weekend long for the Nike EYBL. This is, in my opinion, the best AAU basketball tournament in the country. There's a lot of great ones out there, but this one I think takes the cake. But give us a buzz. You want to chat, 757-687-9494. Anything in the world of sports, we'll put you on here. High school sports, of course, is our specialty. You can hit us up on Twitter, too, at HS Sports Talk 941. That's HS Sports Talk 941. More to do here, only on ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now back to your hosts, live on the road, it's Matt Hatfield.
Thank you, Thomas. And we are on the road from the Boo Williams Sportsplex in Hampton for the Nike EYBL. It's the 4th session here as Boo Williams' team will be in action coming up in just a little bit. They play at 12:30 against the Truth on Court 1 here. So come on by. You got action all weekend long, 17 and under, 16 and under, 15 and under. It's the premier AAU basketball tournament on the Nike circuit and one of the best in the country. And we have a special guest with us now. We've had him on many times before from the Virginian-Pilot. You can check out his work on Pilot Online and in the Pilot in the sports section. We say good morning to our friend Ed Miller. Ed, thanks for stopping by.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Unfortunately, the coach not with us, but I'm sure he'll be eager to talk to you when he gets back with us. What brings you back out here to the EYBL? We've seen you out here every year. It's always a great tournament.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of the annual events I try to get over to get a feel for the upcoming players in college and pretty much check out Boo's team every year. So it's timing's a little different this year. Memorial Day weekend, that kind of complicates things a little bit traffic-wise.
I was just saying to David Teel, it's almost anticlimactic because we're programmed for being in April.
Right.
And for a guy that covers a lot of these tournaments, I know you do too, last weekend we had the Hoop Group Southern Jam Fest, so it's back-to-back weekends here. It's almost exhausting, but it's a fun exhausting.
Yeah, I didn't make it last week, but the Boo EYBL thing is one thing I try to get to. And, yeah, it is April ordinarily, and, of course, coaches are not here for this event, so that gives it a little different flavor. There's still a lot of people here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure coaches have their eyes here.
Parking is always an issue here, as is the concession stand if you want food. But I was looking through some pictures just the other night, and it's amazing how many pros come out of this. Just 3 years ago, Jason Tatum with the Celtics was here and played against Matt Coleman and Boo Williams and that crew and was phenomenal. And it's a little bit surprising he's been this good this quick, but no surprise that he's been good.
Yeah, as a Celtics fan, I'm happy to see that.
Okay, you and Jimmy got that in common there.
Growing up outside of Boston until I was 10 years old, so Celtics have been my team for a long, long time. And Brad Stevens and, Jason Tatum certainly part of that, especially without, Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. I mean, who would have thought?
Oh, yeah.
Now, of course, they got to get through LeBron, so we'll see how that goes.
That's what always gets me. People will say, they're going to say, either way, whatever outcome we get with Houston and Golden State, they didn't have Paul or they didn't have Iguodala. Boston ain't got 2 guys in their hopes going to the finals. I mean, and not just 2 guys, 2 very special guys. So it's
absolutely.
This time of year, injuries are piling up.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching that game when Hayward went down at the beginning of the year, and you're thinking, okay, there goes the season.
Gruesome.
And then, of course, Irving gets hurt, and they just keep churning on, and they've developed their younger players. And Brad Stevens is obviously an incredibly good coach. I remember talking with him way back in 2011. The infamous Butler ODU game in Washington, D.C.
Doesn't seem like it's been 7 years since Butler ODU, which we'll get to a lot of ODU topics here this segment, but it's been 7 years to watch his rise from taking them to 2 Final Fours, now with the Boston Celtics. And people say now, really outside of Popovich, or once Popovich gives it up, he's the best coach in the sport pretty much. People won't say that. So
yeah, in some ways it doesn't seem like 7 years. In other ways it seems like a very long time ago. Probably for ODU fans, it probably seems like a long time ago. A lot has happened since then. But, Brad Stevens, I mean, their team at Butler was just really tough, physical, and tough to play against. And I remember when they got that matchup, the Old Dominion coaches at the time kind of sighed and said, okay, they didn't do us any favors here. That was an 8-9, I think. And, I mean, ironically, Butler went on to the championship that year, didn't they? And then a championship game.
Lost to UConn.
And ODU was out before the tournament really began. I mean, when you're playing that 12 o'clock, 12:30 game on Thursday, you're done, and the tournament's really just getting started. So it was really kind of a tough loss that still nags at a lot of people, I think.
They've had some very challenging opening draws in the tournament lately. You think of that game, you think of Notre Dame, who they beat, and then Baylor the next round, which was no cupcake. And
right.
How would you sum up ODU? And, of course, Jeff Jones has had them knocking on the door of the tournament, had some good years here lately. Has it been kind of, in your eyes, fair to say like a roller coaster since kind of the transition with Blaine Taylor to Jeff, and they've been good? How would you describe it in your eyes?
Yeah, it hasn't been a linear kind of rise. It looked like it might be at the beginning. The first year they went from 5-25 to 18-18, I think. Next year they're in the NIT Final Four. Was one of the first 4 teams out of the NCAAs. Really seemed to be kind of on the cusp of doing something. And then, the last couple of years they've had good seasons, solid seasons. It's been harder to maintain the momentum. The game has changed even in the last few years in terms of the number of transfers, the grad transfers and all that stuff. And they've been helped by transfers. They've been hurt by transfers as well, obviously, with Trey Porter this year. And it's left them, a little bit of a tough spot. But they've also been helped by transfers. The Stith brothers, Trey Freeman, obviously, Jonathan Arledge, and Justice Kithcart, who's coming on this year. Nick Biberai, even a guy that was a solid player. Yeah,
it's like that's the bulk and composition of the roster has been transfers, guys that have come in or guys that have left. And the Porter thing was a punch to the gut, but they did just get a big guy that came in from LSU, right?
Yeah, interesting prospect, Elbert Robinson, 7'1", who was. I don't know if he played at this event, if he was a Nike guy, or maybe he was on with another company, but he was a top 60, top 100 kind of guy in high school out of Texas. Got to LSU and just never really fulfilled that promise that he had, and had some injury issues, had some weight problems. But from reports I've heard, he's gotten in really good shape, lost 30, 40 pounds last year, and seems to be very motivated to come here and do something and show people that what they were talking about several years ago. He can live up to that.
Yeah. We're chatting with Ed Miller from the Virginian-Pilot. You can check out his work online at pilotonline.com and in the Virginian-Pilot here from the Nike EYBL in Hampton at the Boo Williams Sportsplex. It's ESPN Radio 94.1. Give Ed a follow too on Twitter at Ed Miller VP. That's Ed Miller VP on Twitter. This coming year, Conference USA. Middle Tennessee has been so strong there, but their coach just departed.
Right.
Is the opportunity there, you think, for ODU to be right there in position as one of those top 4 in the league and vying for either an NCAA or NIT bid?
Yeah, I think they have a shot. I mean, you can always pencil in ODU as probably one of the top 3 or 4 or 5 teams in the league. I just think they're solid, in that regard. And it just depends on getting some breaks and winning a few games. And, yeah, Middle is definitely not going to be everyone's odds-on favorite, I wouldn't think. Marshall had a breakthrough year last year.
They did.
They got some guys coming back. They've got a couple guys who were sitting out last year. Western Kentucky has, just really come out of nowhere with Rick Stansbury. A lot of recruiting there. That they've just been able to get players for however means they've been able to get them. And so they're in the mix. And, Old Dominion, I think, could be right there. It's going to be, depend on how they can kind of meld the new players with the guys they have returning, and they've got a promising looking freshman class, one of their better freshman classes they've had in a long time, with 2 6'8" forwards and Jason Wade out of Richmond, the combo guard.
And people know because Ronnie Wade, of course, his dad played at Old Dominion, and it's funny that with Marshall having that great run, they knock off Wichita in the first round of the tournament. It seems like if you have that. And there's not always the signature player, but Middle Tennessee had that with Giddy Potts and Upshaw and those guys. Is Caver on that verge of being a league player of the year candidate? Or
yeah, I would think he would be. Okay. I mean, he was an all-conference player. John Elmore is back, who was another all-conference player. I'm trying to think of who else. Middle doesn't have anybody. Western Kentucky's got some guys. But, yeah, I mean, Ahmad will be right up there with anybody, I would think, and just depending on what his role is. I think he's underappreciated a little bit because, he's not necessarily a big-time scorer, but he doesn't turn the ball over. He He sets the table. He's got a great assist-to-turnover ratio.
And he followed Trey Freeman.
Yeah, he plays good defense. I mean, he's really the player that makes that team go.
Yeah, for sure. Switching over to football side of things, Bobby Wilder's crew, what's the thought on them? Have you seen them much there in the spring?
Yeah, I mean, I was out there pretty much every day in the spring, and, I think they're going to be better. I think they've got 22 seniors, which is a big change from last year when they just had a handful of guys. And as somebody was telling me, one of the coaches, not only are they seniors, they're good players. Guys like Jonathan Duhart, who missed last year with an injury. O'Shane Zimenez will be one of the best defensive ends in the country. Miles Fox, who's a really good interior defensive tackle. And, of course, some younger guys like Stephen Williams, the sophomore quarterback, who was thrown into the mix last year as a 17-year-old. He should only be better. I think the receiving group as a whole will be better.
Probably healthier, too, right?
Yeah. Knock on wood. Running back, they've got a lot. They've got Jeremy Cox, and they've got a lot of guys who are itching to sort of, step into that void created by Ray Lowry.
Well, they might have their next great running back in Elijah Davis, who set VHSL
Yeah, you
records
probably
this
know
year
a lot
out of
more about him than I do.
Lynchburg. I was just talking to his coach a couple weeks ago. They came down for a 7-on-7 at Oscar Smith. Brad Bradley telling me that Virginia Tech offered him on signing day morning.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And then he ends up going to ODU. And it's funny, this being in the local area, people will say, you get this all the time, why aren't they recruiting more local guys, be it football or basketball?
Right.
But they got a couple guys football-wise this year in state that aren't necessarily local, but Lynchburg, big wide receiver out of Northern Virginia that can really help, I think, right away. Have you gotten that vibe from the coaching staff too? Or?
Yeah, I think it was a pretty solid class, like you mentioned. Davis was a great pickup late. And, Tech did come in. I think there was a kid that went to Georgia at the last minute, and then how you go down the board. And so they called him that morning and said, would you be willing to come? And he basically said, no, I'm going to Old Dominion. So kudos to Old Dominion. Robert Mayo out of Northern Virginia was a very highly regarded receiver.
Yes, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. They typically get guys who are a little under the radar. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. And they've done a pretty good job, a very good job in some cases, of developing these guys like Boomy Rotimi, who was a walk-on, who was in NFL camps.
Marvin Branch, who played a
lot.
basketball.
The list goes on and on. Yeah, a lot of guys who are walk-ons, and they do a real good job of developing those guys, which you have to do at that level or really any level.
A couple more minutes here with Ed Miller from the Virginian-Pilot. You can check out his work in the Pilot and on pilotonline.com. Follow him on Twitter, too, at Ed Miller VP. That's Ed Miller VP. It's ESPN Radio 94.1, high school sports talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com from the Nike EYBL in Hampton for the fourth session of this event. Boo Williams coming up at 12:30. We talked about this a little bit last year, Ed, in that the football program is sort of morphed from being that offensive juggernaut to now people saying, where's the defense? Now the defense has caught up to the offense. Offense still very good. Maybe not quite as prolific, more balanced team.
Yeah, I think the offense took, had its struggles last year. I mean, scoring and a couple games, and with the freshman quarterback, with the injuries they had, with Duhart going out, the offensive line had some guys banged up. Jeremy Cox got hurt. It was just kind of a mash unit over there, and the defense was pretty solid. They had some things they need to shore up, but I think in general the offense would be better, and the defense should be very good. I mean, I'd be surprised if they weren't one of the better defenses in the league. The defensive line is probably the best unit on the team. Secondary's got a lot of young guys, and especially at corner. They're going to play more press man coverage, be a little more aggressive. And linebackers, they basically play like a 4-2-5. So they've got solid guys there. Injuries are always a factor, but I think they'll be pretty good defensively, and I think the offense should be improved. So that, you figure that would be a formula for another win or two, possibly.
I've been hearing good things about Jamez Brickhouse, too, the DB that came out of Bayside in Virginia Beach.
Yeah,
he could be kind of a take-a-leap guy for them in the second.
Yeah, he had a good year last year. They got JoJo Heaton, who's another young corner. They got some safeties. They've looked pretty good. The defense looked good overall in the spring. I think the offense was challenged, but they stepped up at times. I saw them play pretty well, especially later in the spring.
So you got a game you're circling on the schedule, be it in conference or like most people probably out of conference this year for football that you're circling that you're most looking forward to or interested to see what happens?
Well, I guess it would have to be the Hokies. And I don't have the schedule in front of me, and I think I've got it committed to memory, but they'll be coming, and that'll be huge. East Carolina's an interesting game down there. They're not expected to do much. Liberty is another interesting non-conference game.
And they're moving up to FBS too.
Yeah, going out there. That's not a layup game early in the year. So it's a good schedule. It's not quite as unforgiving, I think, as last year's schedule, which was kind of North Carolina, Virginia Tech, and the likes. It was a tough schedule. And then in conference, there's some interesting games. Florida Atlantic, FIU, Marshall's. It's a tough conference. I mean, it's very competitive, and there are no easy games.
Very true. Final one, we thank you for stopping by as always. What can the folks check out in the Pilot coming up? You got some stories for us that we should keep an eye peeled for?
Yeah, a few things. I've been kind of venturing away from the norm lately because it's a quieter part of the year. So I've got some stuff coming up on ODU. We're revisiting our top 50 athletes that we did about 10 years ago.
Oh, cool. Okay.
From Southampton Roads. We're going to try to update that list. So if anybody remembers that.
Sort of the Where Are They Now type.
Yeah. A lot of guys have, in the last 10 years, guys like Cam Chancellor have come on, guys who weren't on the list in 2008. And I've also got a very interesting story, I think, about a guy from Chesapeake who's fighting in the first bare-knuckle boxing fight, legally sanctioned fight in 130 years in Cheyenne, Wyoming, of all places. Interesting guy, and anyway, that should be coming up this week. So a little bit of variety, and then, of course, football will be here before you know it. July 20th is the Conference USA Media Days, and ODU's got a bunch of camps coming up next month, the satellite camps, with all kinds of coaches coming in. So there'll be enough to keep everybody busy.
It seems like either that we're all getting older and the calendar's moving up, or it's just time is going by too fast because we're like, wait a second, that's coming up this weekend, and it just comes at you real fast.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We really appreciate it, Ed, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, Matt, thanks for having me.
Ed Miller from the Virginia-Pilot does great work. Check him out in the Pilot on pilotonline.com. Give him a follow, too, on Twitter at Ed Miller VP. That's Ed Miller VP. More to do here. Don't go anywhere. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. We got one more segment. No, it's not Ed Young. That's somebody else. But give us a call, 757-687-9494, right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
You're listening to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Now, live from the road, let's get back to your host, Matt Hatfield.
That's my song. Let it play out, Thomas. I got to hear a little bit. Not the whole thing, but let me hear some of it. That's Summer Rental, folks. The summer is almost here. One of the all-time great. Have you seen that movie, Al, Summer Rental? Have you seen that movie, Summer Rental? John Candy. Oh, hasn't seen it. Jimmy hasn't seen it. Thomas, you've seen it, right? Please tell me you've seen it.
I have not seen it.
Oh, my gosh. Well, who am I working with? People that have not seen Summer Rental. It's an all-time classic. Thomas, your one assignment, I'm going to put you on assignment, between now and the next show is to watch Summer Rental once. And the best line in the movie, those are fun for the whole family. Best line in the movie. But anyway.
When did this come out?
In the 80s? Oh, it's a great movie. I love that little jingle, too. It's great. All-time great. John Candy, rest in peace. He was great. Uncle Buck and Summer Rental. We haven't played that, I think, since the state semifinals for football in December. We played it. Ed was actually hosting the show, and I was calling in from assignment. We're going to put on Keyontae Johnson here in a minute from formerly of Norview High School in Oak Hill for a few minutes real quick just to chat before he goes watching Boo Williams and company play. We're going to put the guy they call Red on real quick for just a couple minutes. Going down to Florida in Gainesville to play for the Gators. So we'll put him on so he can chat with us. He can sit down if he wants to take a seat here as well. And then we'll go through some spring sports happenings as well. But, it's one of the all-time great movies. Ed actually, I think, is a big fan of Summer Rental, too. But Coach Young is not with us today. So we've had a jam-packed show. We've had on Chris Duhon. We've had on Ed Miller from the Pilot, David Teel from the Daily Press, Jalen Lecque, the five-star guard. We've had on just a load of guests. And now we have another one coming up here. He's formerly of Norview High School in Norfolk, just finished up at Oak Hill Academy. I saw him get his cap and gown. He graduated, playing alongside Keldon Johnson, who's headed to Kentucky, and David McCormick, who is headed to Kansas. And this guy, they call him Red, Keyontae Johnson, going down to play for the Florida Gators in the SEC. Keyontae, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm all right. Thanks for stopping by, giving us a few minutes before you check out your boys. Boo Williams playing up at 12:30 here on Court 1 against the truth right now. 11 minutes to go in this game with New York Reds and New York Lightning on court 1. But you just finished up the Oak Hill experience, graduated. How do you feel?
I feel wonderful. It was a great experience there. It helped me out a lot, so I think it was the best fit I did all year.
Matt Coleman made that move before he went to Texas. A lot of guys from here in Virginia have made that move. Going in, all excited, but it's not easy. Give us what it's like being at Oak Hill and what they took you through.
It was real hard. Like, you separated from everybody, and you just got to focus on basketball and schoolwork only. So that was like the biggest part that helped me out, just staying focused on basketball and then getting my schoolwork done. So,
what surprised you about the experience there? Anything catch you off guard?
Nothing catch me off. I mean, it was real good. It was just like basically like I couldn't talk to no other girls there for real. So you basically separated from everybody.
So the social life's a little bit of a.
It's real hard. They real strict. So and then the basketball team, like, it helps your team become a family more. Like, chemistry off the court and on the court, so that's what helped a lot too.
So you love the basketball part, but you look forward to coming back home a little bit to get away from some of the
yes, sir.
the locked up type deal. The year you guys had at Oak Hill, I know you got back to the national tournament up there in New York, or whereabouts it was. Keldon was hurt a little bit, but you guys played some great competition. How would you characterize the season in your play?
I think it was the best season I had out of my whole high school career. The team helped me out get better each day at practice, like high level of competition. So I just feel like that was it helped me out prepare better for Florida, and like they got on me every day, so that should help me out next year.
Now you picked the Florida Gators. Of course, we saw you dazzle with some above the rim plays at Norview High and also a little bit at Oak Hill. People are wondering, man, why'd you pick Florida? Well, it's obvious. Think about the sunshine, the weather, great basketball. But what separated them from a lot of other great college programs that were top 25 material that were recruiting you?
University of Florida, they play fast pace up and down. They get up, and that's why I do best at going on fast breaks. So I felt like that was the best place for me. And then you get better there. They develop players, they get players bigger. So I just felt like that was the best fit for me.
Coach Nichols, a guy I know pretty well, assistant coach there, pretty good relationship with him.
Yes, sir.
In the recruiting process. What about the coaches there, him, as well as Coach White, the head man that came from Louisiana a couple years ago? They've been good in the tournament here lately.
Yes, sir. Coach Mike, he talked to me almost every day, and Coach Nichols, they check up on me, make sure I'm doing all the workout plan that they gave me.
When you were going through the recruiting process, what was the thing that you learned about it as you went through it? As your recruiting was, you had attention, kind of leveled off, then you hit a meteoric rise, it seemed like. What were the things you learned? And then also, what would you tell a young kid that wants to be the next Keyontae Johnson out there in terms of how they go about doing it the right way?
I would tell the next kid, to stay patient, keep working hard. Everything else, you develop over time, and just keep playing your game and do what you do best, basically.
Who do you see in the college game that people out there that haven't watched Keyontae Johnson play, you would tell them, I'm like this guy? Or even the NBA, who are the guys that you think your game compares favorably to?
I would say Jaylen Brown and Kawhi Leonard.
Okay, why those two guys?
Because Kawhi Leonard, he played defense, and he get a lot of steals, and I get a lot of steals when I was at Oak Hill, so I was leading the team in steals. And then Jaylen Brown, people didn't think he could shoot, so but he if he's open, he'll hit the shot, so that's what I do too.
Now the plan for Florida position-wise, looking at you as a 2 guard, a 3, or a little bit of both?
2 and a 3.
Okay. What are the things you've got to work on as you get ready for the freshman year coming up? Because knowing you, how competitive you are, you get a little chip. I imagine you want to get on the floor right away.
Yes, sir. I need to work on getting my jump shot more consistent, 3-pointers, and basically ball handle and mid-range, one dribble pull-up.
Got a couple of SEC's a good league. Got a couple of teams you're kind of circling on the schedule. Have you looked at the schedule yet for next year that you're looking forward
I haven't.
to?
Yeah, I'm ready for the schedule.
Who are the ones you're going to be circling? Oh, I'm waiting for that game.
Yes, I know we play West Virginia in December, so I'm ready for that game too. That's my most likely one.
They say West Virginia is like, what is it John Ross thinks? It's like a bad weekend at your in-laws. That's going to be a rock fight, man.
Yeah.
You have to wear the helmet for that. For this coming year, Florida Gators, Devin Robinson was a guy I watched this past year, NBA. Is that a program you looked at as you were going through it? A lot of guys have gone to the NBA, Corey Brewer, Al Horford, Joakim Noah. Is that something that appealed to you too, the success they've had in producing pros?
Yes, sir. I was talking to Dorian Finney-Smith, the Dodo. Yeah, so we conversated all the time. He told me make the best fit for you. But I feel like they helped him develop each year, and he got his way. So I feel like that can help for me too.
Couple minutes here with Keyontae Johnson. He goes by the nickname of Red here on High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. A native of Norfolk who played at Norview High School and then at Oak Hill Academy before he goes on to the SEC and the Florida Gators. You've told me the story before, but people say, why is the nickname Red? Give the folks the story on why you got the nickname Red and how you got it.
When I was younger, I used to get mad a lot, and my face started turning red, so that's the reason why they call me Red now.
You like that nickname, or you want to change it in college?
I'll probably change it in college.
What would you want your nickname to be in college? Do you have something picked out yet, or
Not yet. I don't got.
You got any options?
Key the Kid.
Key the Kid. I can dig that. Here's what we're going to do. We have to put up a poll question of like 3 or 4 nicknames for you. Let our listeners vote on it. But you got to have a big year for us to do that now.
I got you.
All right, give me this. NBA playoffs. We got 2 games tonight and tomorrow. Game 6, Rockets, Warriors. Who wins?
I got the Rockets winning.
Okay. Even without Chris Paul.
Oh, I ain't know Chris Paul.
You didn't know. So you've been out. He hasn't been paying attention. Chris Paul's not playing tonight. So you're going to go Rockets in 7 if he comes back.
Yeah, I go Rockets in 7, but I got Golden State winning tonight, and then I got the Celtics beating Cleveland.
You got the Celtics beating Cleveland. Yeah. Jimmy likes that. He's a big Celtics fan. Who are the guys in the NBA you look up to?
I look up to Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant.
Okay. And I'll get you out on this. For this coming year, Florida fans, give them a message on what you want to tell them about this season coming up, what they can expect from you on the court, off the court. What are they getting in Keyontae Johnson?
They're going to see a lot of highlight reels of me getting above the rim, playing hard each game, and just making everybody get what they paid for.
All right, go check out your boys from Boo Williams. They got a big one coming up. Thanks so much, man.
All right, no problem.
Keyontae Johnson from formerly Norview High School in Norfolk Oak Hill Academy just got the cap and gown and graduated alongside David McCormick, who's headed to Kansas, and Keldon Johnson headed off to Kentucky. Keyontae going to Florida, the Sunshine State. Awful nice. I'm extremely jealous. I'd rather be him than me, as would Al, as would Matthew, as would James, as would Thomas, as would everybody. Who wouldn't want to be Keyontae Johnson? He gets above the rim and dunks the basketball, and he's going down to Florida. And that's living a life. I don't know about you, but that's living a life, isn't it, Thomas?
Yeah, that's
cool.
about it.
It's pretty cool.
Dunking, sunshine.
What else do you need? That's nice. Well, we only got a couple minutes left here. Let's tell you a couple things with the baseball coming up for the region tournaments real quickly because we're running out of time. We unfortunately didn't get to as much as we wanted to. Region 6A, Granby's the 1, Kellum's the 8. I'm going to give you a pick here. I got Granby winning that. Sorry, Kellum. Sorry, my guy Mason Makovic out there, 2 sports center from Kellum. I got Granby winning that. Jerry the vendor probably enjoys that. First Colonial the 4, Woodside the 5. Sorry, Jimmy, your FC Patriots aren't going to win this. I'm going Woodside. Ocean Lakes the 3, Oscar Smith the 6. Boy, I'm really torn on this game. I got a hunch. There's a nice story they did about the youngster from Ocean Lakes who's actually going to Ole Miss, not for baseball, but just being a pre-med program, Danny Connolly. I got Oscar Smith pulling the upset there. And Western Branch Cox, the 2-7 matchup. I got Western Branch winning the region. Region 5A, Menchville's the 1, Princess Anne's the 8. That's going on right now. Do we have a score? Jimmy, have we gotten a score yet for that? We have not from that game. I'm going to say Menchville, but if I hear that PA's winning, I'm going to change my pick real fast. I think Phil Forbes' group can do it. Jordan Iseray, I believe it is a really good pitcher for PA, but I got faith in P5 and company that make those comebacks, even if they get down. Hampton the 4, Gloucester the 5. That's a good one. I'm not going to go against our guy Danny Mitchell, Hampton Crabbers coach. I think they'll eke out a win tonight. We're at War Memorial. 3-6 matchup, Hickory-Salem. I got Hickory to 3. And I'm actually going to pick Hickory, believe it or not, to win this bracket over Menchville in the final. And I'm going Maury over Kempsville in the 2-7 game. Maury to winner there. We're down to the Final 4 in Region 4A, Grafton, Deep Creek. I like the Clippers of Grafton to get by Deep Creek. Deep Creek is a nice story. Almost dare say Cinderella story here. I think a little magic runs out against Grafton when you put up 17 runs on the board against Lake Taylor. I think the offense will erupt at some point, whether it's for an inning or for the whole game. And then Lafayette to 10, Jamestown to 3. I'm going to lean with Jamestown in that one. And I'm going to go with Grafton, the top seed, to win that. So I'm going to go with one top seed there. Region 3A for the baseball. You got, I don't know who won the Phoebus Parkview game, but the winner's getting Hopewell and then New Kent and York, the 6 and 7 seeds. I kind of like York. They put up 23 runs in the first round against Booker T. and then won 5-2 over Southampton in a bit of a surprise in terms of seeding. So there you have it. Well, lots of spring sports playoffs for the baseball, softball, soccer, you name it. We'll try to tackle that a little bit more in depth the next couple of weeks on the program. We thank all our guests this morning. We had a bunch on the show today. Let's go run through them again for you. If you missed the show, you can hear it later on VirginiaPreps.com. We had on Keyontae Johnson, former Norview and Oak Hill guard, headed to the Florida Gators. We had on Ed Miller from the Pilot, David Teel from the Daily Press, Bryan Kersey, ACC Supervisor of Officials, Cam Bacote, All-Star guard from Bethel. We had on Jalen Lecque, 5-star guard, Christ School in North Carolina with New York Wrens. And we had on Chris Duhon, former Duke guard, NBA player. We want to thank all of our helpers today. All of them. Matthew, Jimmy, Al, Thomas back in our Virginia Beach studios. We'll talk to you next Saturday in the month of June. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, everyone. Matt Hatfield signing off on your home for sports. It's the longest running program on ESPN Radio 94.1.